Hi, and welcome to the first edition of Shop Talk with Jim and Ken. I'm Jim.
I'm Ken.
Yeah, hello. So we're here from Aviat Networks, and we wanted to reach out to all of our customers and potential customers and give you a new way of interacting with us. With this coronavirus lockdown has really put a hamper on travel. I used to travel every single week, going out and meeting new customers, helping them get their first links turned up, giving them on-the-job training. That's a little bit hard to do now that we're stuck in our houses. So we've set up a studio here in my living room, and I've got my lab set up. So now what we're doing is doing everything remote through the video and screen share. So for me, it's been impacted a lot. How about you, Ken? What are you seeing as far as this coronavirus and impacting your travels and whatnot?
Yeah, for me, a little bit different because I'm pretty much a work from home guy. I do travel occasionally, but for me, that hasn't really changed. But what really has changed is that for the WISP community, we're seeing just a huge increase in activity going on, either for the needs of more capacity on the backhaul networks or to create new backhaul connections to new locations. The activity that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 weeks has been off the charts. I feel bad for the WISP in some ways. I'm sure they're working really, really hard. It's very hard on them, especially with families and other obligations. But I feel really good to be part of that community and helping those folks, put their new links up and getting their links connected and that kind of thing. So things have been really positive. It's been a hectic time, like I said, but otherwise sort of business as usual for me.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm seeing sort of the same thing. Being home for the last several weeks, I've been doing a lot of remote trainings, getting things set up here. And customers that I'm seeing, the interesting projects that are coming along, a lot of these WISPs now are scrambling to provide Wi-Fi hotspots because, as you know, in the past people would go to Starbucks or McDonald's and get on their free Wi-Fi. Well, all those restaurants are closed down now, so you can't go in and get your free internet access. So I've been seeing a lot of partnerships between WISPs and, in particular, school districts, where the school has got fiber and bandwidth coming into, say, a high school, and what they're doing is now they're bringing it out of the school, beaming it out into these parking lots, and they've got very large parking lots that can accommodate hundreds of cars, and people are being able to maintain their social distancing. They pull into the high school parking lot and then jump on the Wi-Fi, so they're putting in Wi-Fi hotspots. And with Aviat, we're using our backhaul radios to get that bandwidth from the fiber connection in the building out to the various parking areas so folks can get online and students can continue to do their online learning. And then businessmen are actually sitting out in their cars accessing the free internet.
Right. Yeah, no, the other thing we're seeing a lot more of is we brought a new staff engineer on the team, Mark, who joined us in late January. And he's been a real helpful asset to us too for a lot of remote screen sharing for getting both folks up and running on the Aviat design tool under Aviat Cloud, showing them how to use that tool or doing the designs for them. And then also the Aviat store, setting up their accounts, helping them basically build some materials, shopping carts, going through the checkout system, showing them how to do that as well. It's been a real nice thing to be an American supplier in the middle of all this. We've had sort of the upside benefit of not having real challenges with the supply chain on our side. So things have been going good on that. Most people who are placing orders, we can get their account set up within about a day, get a design and a shopping cart together, ship the whole thing out within like the next day, and it can arrive on the customer's dock the day after that if they want it. So that's been really helpful from the supply chain side, and having that extra resource with Mark, helping those people through that process has been helpful for me. Also doing a lot of what I think you're doing as well, which is spending time with them, doing screen shares to help them configure their very first links, because we have a lot of brand new WTM users who've never seen the radio before. So it's really helpful to just sort of get them up and running really, really quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I certainly have been doing more and more of the screen shares and web trainings from here in my lab. As a matter of fact, for me, I actually, because of this coronavirus and having to be forced to work from home, I feel like I'm even more productive. I'm able to schedule more people throughout the week I'm not spending time flying on airplanes. So for me, it's been a productivity boost. So I guess that's one good thing about this coronavirus. You're able to help more customers, but absolutely. So any new customers that get a set of radios, get a hold of myself or Ken, and we'll certainly help you get those things set up and configured. We put below all of our pictures here our contact information, so we're directly accessible. Now again, I'm working from home. I feel like I'm available 24 hours a day. My workday is certainly stretched out because I'm covering all time zones now. I'm not just in one place at a time. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of work, but we're certainly doing some good things here. Part of this new video format is to really be able to share information. And one of the things that we're going to do is give you kind of a tech tip on each one of our shows. This tech tip that we're going to talk about is going to be about the Wi-Fi dongle. I've got one here. This is just a little USB Wi-Fi dongle that you can buy online. I got this one on Amazon. What'll be important is you get one that's Raspberry Pi driver compatible, not Windows or Mac, but it's got to say Raspberry Pi compatible. Once you've got that, right here on the maintenance port of the WTM, you unscrew the cap and you plug this thing in. And what this will do is this will now give you a Wi-Fi hotspot inside the radio. You may be wondering, why would you want Wi-Fi inside your microwave radio? Well, actually, it's for a couple of different uses that are all really important. One is when this thing is installed up on the back of the antenna and you're going to do your initial antenna alignment. A lot of these young climbers these days have all got smartphones. What you do is you get your smartphone out and you can Wi-Fi into the radio. And that way you can look at the GUI interface, you can look at the signal strength, and it makes it really easy to do a quick antenna alignment because you can look at the signal strengths on your smartphone. Another reason to use that Wi-Fi dongle is when you're getting things set up in the lab, and I've already done that a couple times this last week. We were getting a 4+0 configuration set up. That's basically 2 radios on each end of the link going through a coupler. Well, in order to do that, you've got to assign VLANs to the different interface ports on here, and it's quite easy to make a mistake and assign a VLAN to every port. And if I was logged in with my laptop, well, if I had a VLAN assigned to it, I'd be locked out. That Wi-Fi interface on the radio is, think about it like the old serial port or console cable port on your radio, where you're coming directly in. You can not only access the CLI, but you can get into the full GUI interface to the Wi-Fi, and there's never a VLAN assigned to that Wi-Fi interface. So that's like your backdoor in if you get yourself locked out. So as long as you know the credentials to log in, you can do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'll toggle over. I'm going to show you what that actual interface looks like on the radio. So here we're logged into the dashboard of the WTM radio. The dashboard shows us all the performance stats of all our interfaces. I'm going to scroll down the menu tree here under System Configuration and click on Wi-Fi. And this is where you're going to set it up once you've plugged that little USB dongle into the Wi-Fi port itself. So our first setting is to be able to enable or disable Wi-Fi. That can be done remotely, so when this is all done and your antenna's aligned and your installation is complete, if you want, you can leave the dongle in place, put that cover cap back on, and remotely you can enable or disable it for security purposes. So maybe you'll leave it disabled, the Wi-Fi, so it's shut off, but if you need to send a tech out on site and he's up at the tower site, log in remote again, turn that on, and then he'll be able to get into that without actually having to plug into your network. Now the next thing you'll need to set is the SSID. For me, I found an easy way of naming these things is to use the last octet of the IP address. So you can see I'm a .4 address here. So for my SSID, I just put it in number 4. So I get again out to a tower site and there's multiple radios, I'll know which one I'm attaching to. You want to set up your security. WPA2 is what most folks are using now. That's the most secure Wi-Fi protocol. I'll set that and then put in a unique password. Once that's done, everything is saved through the commit button. Once you've done that, your Wi-Fi is all configured. Now you're able to come out on site, and if the Wi-Fi is turned on, log into these radios, again, without having to go through the Ethernet interface. Yeah, you got any other things you wanted to add to that, Ken?
Yeah, I was going to interrupt you real quick. Sorry about that. One of the nice things about the GUI on the WTM is that on the GUI, whether you're using this on the computer or direct through Wi-Fi, we have a real-time RSL meter right on the GUI, so you don't have to think about like browser refreshes you've seen on other systems. A lot of our installers will use the voltmeter, direct voltmeter connections right on the back of the radio, which are right there next to the Wi-Fi USB port, actually.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a voltmeter, or if you're a little bit more apt to use your smartphone, that access to the Wi-Fi will still give you a real-time RSL reading, so that's super handy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's the key thing, both through the GUI and the voltmeter is real time. So it's like instantaneous reading. So as you're aiming that dish, you don't have to aim it and then pause and wait for the RSL to catch up. It is actually instantaneous real time. So I find the WTM, I've installed hundreds of radios in my lifetime, by far the easiest to align just because of that instantaneous feedback. You really know when you're on the side lobe or a main beam. It's easy to find that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up our first tech talk here. And again, below our names on our contact information. We're here and accessible for you guys. Reach out to any of us. We'll make sure you get support. If you got a new set of radios, you want some training, get a hold of me and we'll schedule it throughout the week. I found for these more complex installations, what I'm doing is we'll schedule, say, an hour. We'll do a screen share or do a video conference share. I'll walk them through the configuration here. You'll go back to your lab, do those procedures, make sure it's working, and then we'll go to the next step because it's kind of a multi-step process to get a 4+0 system up and configured. A lot of little details you have to pay attention to. So reach out to us. We're always here and available to you. And thanks for joining us on this show. We'll see you on the next program.
Yeah, see you next time.